I just watched The Boys Season 5 finale, and honestly, I am a little bit disappointed. Not just in the episode itself, but in the fact that this was supposed to be the finale to the entire show. This was the ending they spent 5 seasons building toward, and instead of feeling satisfied, I'm sitting here wondering how this is the big finish we waited all this time for. Now, I'm not going to do a scene-by-scene breakdown of every single thing that happened. I just want to talk about the main things I need to get off my chest, because there were definitely some moments that worked, but overall this finale left me feeling pretty underwhelmed. So I'm going to break down the pros and cons of this episode, starting off with the good, because there really is not that much of it. Getting straight into it, Homelander's death was actually pretty satisfying. I think everyone here watching knew Butcher was going to be the one to kill Homelander, but the real question was never who kills Homelander. The real question was how well would they execute it? And watching Butcher put belt to ass on a depowered Homelander was extremely satisfying, and I'm glad that they went down that route. Seeing Homelander, of all people, begging for his life like a complete coward was exactly the kind of ending he deserved. Now, before anybody says, oh, that was lame, he went out like a doofus just moaning and groaning, and I think that's the entire point, because even when Homelander had powers, he always acted like a giant toddler. So when you strip away the powers and the god complex, what is left? Just a scared little man. And I also loved that Butcher used the crowbar just like in the comics when he squeezed open his head and then knocked out his brains. It gave the scene that extra full circle feeling, especially for fans who read the comics. And another thing that was really satisfying in the show was the Deep's death. This one was well deserved for Starlight, and honestly it had been building for 5 seasons, and dare I say it, this death was almost as hyped up for me as Butcher versus Homelander. Now maybe that is just me because I really enjoyed the Deep as a character, but whatever. And the way Starlight took him out was perfect. If you remember in episode 7, the sea life basically banned him from the water. They made it clear that if he ever stepped foot back in the ocean, he was done. So after Starlight ran through the peak and beat his ass, she gave him the most iconic ending possible. She fed him to the sea life. And then he got boned right in the bum by an octopus, which mirrored Adam's death from episode 5, Black Noir's acting coach. And lastly, I really did like Butcher's fate, because the truth is, in Butcher's mind, nothing is ever truly enough. Even after he killed Homelander, he still wanted more, and that is the tragedy of this character. Revenge was never going to bring Becca back, and it was definitely never going to fix him. So Butcher dying felt pretty inevitable in the show. He was a broken man who sometimes tried to do the right thing, but he was just too far gone to ever get a real happy ending. Now, I'm glad that he killed Homelander and he won the war, but you know, but his character never looked like he'd be the one to chill on the beach cracking beers with the sun shining in the background. Now let's get into what I'm actually upset about with this finale. There was no complete and utter destruction, and that is probably my biggest issue, because the show advertised this finale like we were about to witness the end of the world. You guys remember that one image of Homelander in space looking down at Earth while it looked like the entire world was basically exploding underneath him? Yeah, we did not get anything even remotely close to that. I was expecting the finale to pay off what Homelander talked about all the way back in season 3. You know the scene when Starlight threatened to release the Flight 37 video? Homelander straight up told her that if the world turned against him, he would take out the nerve centers, the White House, the Pentagon, critical infrastructure, and then wipe New York right off the map. And he even said way much more that he would do. But we didn't get that remotely at all. Nothing close, at least. There was really no sense that the world was completely collapsing and everything was getting destroyed. All the lights went out in the world because all the critical infrastructure just got torn apart. No. The closest thing that we got to that was Homelander's death being streamed on live TV. Like, I don't know, man. To me, that just kind of felt pretty underwhelming, because this is Homelander with V1 we're talking about. I wanted an almost analog horror type vibe for this episode. And to give you guys an example of that, have you seen this video right here? Now, I'm not going to show the whole thing because I think it is genuinely amazing, so if you want to go see it for yourself, support this guy out. But if you want to see an incredible what if version of Scorched Earth, dude, you have to go check out this video right here, because it perfectly mimicked what the finale should have been. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say it made up for whatever just happened in this finale, because that fan-made version had more tense, more destructive, and more of that terrifying Homelander energy than the actual actual ending of the show, and that is what bothers me. The finale was supposed to be the moment where everything finally exploded, and instead it felt like the show pulled back right when it needed to go all in. Now I guess there's rumors going around talking about the budget cuts and everything, but like, what's the point in doing huge budget cuts if it's the finale of The Boys? And I'm gonna read this to you right here. The hit superhero series The Boys garnered over 55 million global viewers across its run, according to Amazon's internal streaming data. Brother, with that many viewers, they should have put all their cards on the table. They should have went all out movie budget stuff for this whole entire finale. Instead, they kind of just cut the entire budget in half and then just sent it all to the actors, which, don't get me wrong, without the actors there would be no The Boys. But still, when we talk about a finale at this caliber with 55 million global views, I feel like they should have put their budget more into the finale. And also, Homelander getting V1 felt almost pointless. Now, sure, you can make the argument that V1 did not actually give Homelander a massive power upgrade, that it mainly just granted him immortality or made him harder to kill. But to me, that just even proves my point more. Because they spent, what, 6 episodes trying to find V1 and then he gets it just for immortality, no power boost? Like, when I saw Homelander shooting those insane, high-intensity, bulky laser beams into the sky from his eyes, I was sitting there like, oh my god, yeah, it's officially over. This is gonna be peak. I was sitting there like, this is gonna be a version of Homelander that nobody could even touch at all. And then when Butcher said run, I was like, yep, GG, brother. Now, I did enjoy the fight scene where Homelander was basically 1v3 Ryan, Butcher, and Kimiko. I thought it was fast-paced and it looked pretty clean, but the problem is the logic does not fully add up here at all. The power scaling is just not here at all. It's just basically a bunch of inconsistencies. Because realistically, Homelander should have speed blitzed all of them in seconds. And this moment with Kimiko right here is really what bothered me. She is literally standing there for a good second trying to charge up her blast, and Butcher's just over there screaming like, oi mate, what are you waiting for? Blast the bloody die. And then I'm just here thinking, could he have instantly just have taken her out before she had the chance to do anything? Like, she was standing there for a pretty good minute. Now, yes, I understand he was pretty occupied by Ryan right there, like they were going at it too, and he was also occupied by Butcher, but he does have like insane hearing, right? So he definitely could have heard when Butcher was like, dude, what are you waiting for? Blast him. He could have turned around, got out of the way, or just like turned around and just like flew straight into her and then ripped her apart. I don't know. It was kind of definitely frustrating to say the least. And visually, yeah, I did like it, dude. I feel like, this is where kind of a lot of the budget went, I would, assume, hopefully. But yeah, as I already said, there's just so many inconsistencies with the power scaling, and yeah, dude, this kind of did make me a little mad. Now, before the video ends, I just want to give my thoughts on the spin-offs this season basically left us with, which are The Boys Mexico and VOD Rising. First of all, I did not even know The Boys Mexico was an actual show being considered for production. I honestly thought people were just joking about this show, because who in the world was sitting here asking for this show? Like, they canceled Gen V for this, which was a show people actually wanted to see more of, so I can't really wrap my head around the idea that they're coming up with just a completely different spin-off show. Like, I have seen zero hype around this show and hope it's genuinely just a meme and I just got punked. But from what I've heard, it's not fully in production yet, but it is being considered. So hopefully they heard the audience loud and clear, because after season 5 already felt like it was shoving another spin-off down our throats, because of VOD Rising in the finale, the last thing we need is another random expansion of the universe that nobody is excited for. Now, with VOD Rising, I will at least admit that one has my attention, but let's be honest, that is mostly because of Soldier Boy. Without him, I probably could not care less about the show either. He is the one character who makes that prequel feel like it could actually be worth watching. But even then, I am still kind of confused about how Soldier Boy's fate is supposed to be revealed in the prequel show. Like, that part does not really make any sense to me, because a prequel is supposed to show us what happened before, not really what happened after the finale of The Boys. So unless they are planning some kind of flash forward or framing device, I do not really know how that works, but I guess we will see, because right now VOD Rising does have my curiosity, mainly because of Soldier Boy, but I feel like they should have not advertised this show in the finale at all. But yeah, that's kind of my whole entire review of the finale episode.